Are you thinking about starting a podcast for your recruiting business in 2023? In this video, I'm going to show you how to use podcasting as a powerful tool to get more clients and candidates for your recruiting business or search firm. My name is Donnie Gupton, and I'm a marketing and business development expert specifically for the staffing recruiting industry. Podcasting is one of the most powerful yet underutilized tools. It can be a great way to connect you with both your clients and your candidates. And in this video, I'm going to share with you some tips on how you can make your podcast stand out and ultimately attract, the best prospects in your market. What I'm about to share with you is exactly how I helped Tom Caravella start MSL Talk, John Randolph build out CPA Life, support Simon Lynch in his Treasury Talent podcast, and help Bradley McMillan launch his new podcast in the preclinical space. What we're talking about is specific and proven for recruiting businesses and search firms. And they're seeing a lot of success as a result of their efforts. Let's dive in on how we were able to generate that. The first thing you want to do is you want to focus on creating your podcast for your specific niche or niche or niche, or however you want to say it. You want to make sure that you're talking specifically to that audience, because everything becomes a lot easier there. But that's what people are buying into now. Unless you've got a huge name like Joe Rogan or something like that, you're going to have a lot more traction if you're serving a podcast to a specific audience to add value. For example, Tom does MSL Talk, Medical Science Liaisons. That's all his podcasting is about. He has over 100,000 plus downloads. Don't buy into the story that the niche won't work. 100,000 plus downloads just in MSL space alone. So pick that niche. Once you pick your niche in your podcast, you want to start to understand what your topics are. You're going to be interviewing people about their business, about their career. And I think you can do a little bit of both there. We want to find out where the value for the audience is going to be with the whole podcast and the efforts. Part of that comes into then picking your frequency. As you start to do your podcast, similar to a blog, your audience is going to start to expect something from you. Are you podcasting weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, multiple times a week? That's something you want to get clarity on, so you make sure you get yourself into the proper rhythm. My recommendation is just one podcast a week will be plenty to support you in this. Once you get your podcast up and running, that's really where the magic comes into place. The first thing that the podcast allows you to do is allows you to share stuff easier on social media. By having this podcast, you can then promote the podcast. You can share clips of the podcast. And if you're truly into repurposing, you can actually turn the podcast into a video cast. You can see that on my YouTube channel. My Relevant Recruiter show is actually live on video. So now we're doing some multi-channel. We're leveraging some things there. And then you could also take those podcasts up and cut those up and turn that into other content and video clips and things like that. So a podcast creates a lot of leverage for your content strategy and for your social media strategy. A lot of the magic happens is being strategic about your guests. I don't want you to lead this whole effort thinking that you're going to build a podcast to get new clients. If you lead with that energy, you're probably not going to get it. If you lead with the energy of you're going to add value to your marketplace and hopefully you get some clients as a result of that, I think that's where the magic will happen for you. And when you're reaching out to people, I would be thinking about reaching out to prospective clients and asking them if they would want to be a guest on the podcast. Now, why this is really valuable is because in 2023, almost everybody is trying to get their message out there. Every company, every individual, every brand, even for hiring managers or CFOs or whatever, they want to enhance their own personal career. So you're doing them a huge favor by inviting them onto your podcast, kind of working reciprocity by inviting these guests onto the podcast. You don't need to sell anything. All you need to do is invite them on the podcast. And when they do a little bit of research about who you are, they'll know exactly how you can help them. So with my buddy John, for example, as he reached out before he even launched his podcast, he had a huge couple client wins as a result. And people basically came on, they recorded their podcast. And after the podcast was over, they'd look, hey, John, notice you're in the CPA space. We have a couple open roles. We would love to send your way. Easy as that. So you don't have to have like a structured sales plan after that. You just make yourself aware with these people. And rather than trying to generate in a meeting or an appointment so that you can help them with their open positions, you actually just ask them if they want to be a guest on your podcast. You build a lot of relationship, a lot of rapport, what this industry is all about. And if the writing's on the wall, they're going to come for you and they can have a great potential to be new clients. Everybody that I've mentioned have seen results on both the client side and candidate side as a result of this. All of this, what this does, not only just developing business, but having a podcast is going to put you into a completely different light for your market. It's going to automatically ramp you up into being the authority in the market. My friend Tom Caravella with the MSL Talk show, it's funny seeing him post sometimes on LinkedIn because when he's at like a trade show, he's almost viewed as like a mini celebrity in his space. And it's simply because of the podcast. podcast. Having the podcast, sharing the content, being a leader in your industry, adding value to your industry, it's all going to add up into more authority, more revenue for your recruiting business. So if you're thinking about creating a podcast for your recruiting business, 1, do it. 2, reach out to me if you need support. This is Donnie Gupton. We'll see you in the next video.